I think we're live. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy 4th of July. I hope you guys are all tuning in. So far, I don't see anybody in the chat. It always helps me because I can see the chat. I don't have Annie here. So without Annie, it's a matter of me trying to do all this stuff. And for me, that's a challenge. It's really good to have her available. I hope you guys are going to enjoy at least what we're having here in Bluefield, West Virginia, is some beautiful sunny weather. It's going to be a day at my mom's house, and just kind of hanging out. Um, good, good morning, Leah. Happy Fourth. So I always like to start with a good verse. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. James 1:17. I love the book of James, but man, is it a challenging book per se. If you read it, it'll challenge to the heart of who you are. And on this day, for the fourth, just what are we thankful for? Independence, freedoms. I hope that freedoms are extended to the point that we can share what we're trying to share here with more people. Sorry, I don't have the white jacket on today, and you guys get to look at me and oh my God, a Coke T-shirt. Hey, can you believe that I would represent Coke? Not totally, but during childhood, that was the way. I'm a Coke versus a Pepsi guy. But anyway, um, happy Independence J Jin Jin. Oh my God, Jin Jin. My sister just arrived, and she had a dog, and it was a little Lhasa Apso, and it was named Jin Jin, and she had it for like 14 years. The biggest depression I'd seen her in for years when that dog died years ago. Love that dog, kind of, So good morning, Jin Jin. Good morning, Leah. I hope we get some people on here. If you guys can do the thumbs up, if you're able to share, let people know. I have not figured out any ways to get more people to learn about this stuff, but I do want to be able to go into some stuff and just keep carrying on for where we were last week, and hope you guys are ready just to have some, learn some more stuff. Just a continuation. Last week, if you guys remember, it's short for Virginia. All right. Last week we talked about celery. The thumbnail that you guys saw on the show is the only place you can see it. I didn't get it up. What we're going to do, Annie came on this morning. She's still having. Good morning, Betty. Annie came on this morning, and she was a little bit of too much pain to go on for the morning. So you guys always send prayers out for Annie. And what we're going to do is, but she did help me get a thumbnail for today. We're going to talk about nitrates a little bit. And then I will try to do a little bit of review of what we did last week with the cell debris. I see everybody. Linda's starting to come on. We're starting to see people. I appreciate that. See, you guys are just tracking in a little bit late because we're normally a little bit late. But hey, I got it up today, so I'm doing okay. So let me go through and see if I can find on my screen where I want to go from. And so first off, when we're talking about as we do this stuff, what I haven't done all the time is that nice disclaimer, due to the legal nature of practicing in a non-licensed state for naturopathic medicine, all this presentation and concepts of bioelectric chemistry should not be construed as a form of diagnosis, treatment, cure, and prevention of disease. Additionally, the views and concepts contain challenge, our current medical accepted views and are not intended to replace, scrutinize, slander, or condemn any medical or accepted health viewpoint or association that upholds those beliefs. It's kind of weird that we have to do that type of stuff in today's day and age, but I have taught you guys stuff that just goes back to a quantum approach and an electrical approach to your health that you are not going to find. You're going to have people who talk about frequency and vibration, people who use tuning forks, people. I want to use tuning forks in my practice. I have charts from the 1930s all the way through the 1950s in association with in rife frequencies and harmonics of the body and specific keys and those solfeggio frequencies and everything we're talking about here is frequency and vibration. And so I believe in all that stuff. And that's, I'm going to be researching and studying this stuff for the rest of my life. And so right now, what I need is to train somebody to do what I do so I can learn more and train people to know more. It's a crazy lifestyle. And I just really think that there's so many connections that were made that were lost. And if you guys ever really listen to the things that I teach, where I mention right therapy, where I mention Lavotsky, where I mention, um, you know, uh, what Hans Neiper and these biochemists and even Linus Pauling, and you start explaining all of these people who were considered, pioneers, Reinhard Voll and Budwig, and you start asking, well, these people were curing the incurable, but they had a piece of it, and they had a set population that it worked for. Well, when you turn around and you look at RBTI, and you measure and you understand when you apply these modalities per se to the human body and you see the changes, well, guess what? You can explain why it does work for some and why it doesn't work for others. That's the key. It's such an incredible tool, people, and it is not as you go through in learning this stuff, because some of you who don't even know who I am, Dr. Misak, by the way, Pittsburgh Alternative Health, and I'm a pharmacist. I'm a naturopathic doctor. You see that vitalometry on the side of the screen. That's because that's another company I've done. But, when you look at this stuff, I've just taken the work of people who were doing amazing things and looked at how they all interact. And Carrie Reams just gives us a way to explain it all. And if you guys go to docmisak.com, it's going across, use Doc Misak at checkout at vitalometry. Oh, that's the wrong one. If you want to learn more, just go to docmisak.com, and there are articles and media that brings you back to these. But I just got published in an article the first of this month in Naturopathic Doctor News and Review. I've been publishing several. The other ones are listed there as well, and it explains these concepts. I encourage you to read them all if you want to really learn this stuff, and then start down your rabbit hole of who's Dr. Badeau, who is Michael Olsta, who is Dr. Manthe, who's Betty Reams. We might have to get her on very soon. Betty, if I know you're going to be on and you're ready to jump on, I'll send you the Zoom meeting. But in reality, I just turn around and have tried to put this in a perspective so that you can understand that health is available and that you can understand what's going on in the area and where the weaknesses or the deficiencies are, because everything in this body that we're dealing with is dealing with two things: deficiency or excess. So, and then if you really think about it, if you have excess, what you consider toxicities, heavy metals, pesticides, gas additives, mycotoxins, whatever it may be, so phthalates, dioxins, just different types of chemicals. And your body says, hey, I can't handle this. And we turn around from a cellular standpoint and say, well, those dioxins are disrupting these endocrinology path, they're endocrine disruptors, and they're causing hormonal disruption that's leading to this. Let's talk about it on a chemistry level and saying, well, my body is efficient. It's a nuclear generator, and all of a sudden it has a new challenge. This excess mercury from my fillings, whatever the hell it is, and my body can't handle it. Why can't it not handle it? Deficiency. There's something that you don't have that allows your body to get rid of this. So yes, there is a total load. I can only handle so much. And so if we go back and we look at what we call the 5 phases. So Annie has been doing these wonderful things for me. I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you. How you like that? You take a 5-phase mentality. Phase 1, environmental protection. Phase 2, identify your cause, test, know, RBTI. I do electrodermal testing. I do live blood testing. I do organic acid testing. We look at the chemistry. We look at what this is what's happening. So if we know this is happening, we know that this is going on in the body. So let's identify things that stress the body and remove them. Phase 3 is supplements and diet, based upon RBTI, in my opinion, because you start with the basics of what your chemistry needs. Not, oh, I've got nerve issues, so I'm going to take B12. Oh, I've got a thyroid disorder, so I'm going to take a glandular, a little bit of copper. I'm going to take some tyrosine and phenylalanine. People, if you have Clostridia overgrowth or yeast overgrowth, you do not want to take phenylalanine and tyrosine. It'll screw with your brain. Drive up those dopamine levels, and you just can't. Ah, you know. So we look at these type of things, and from a support standpoint, is what does my chemistry show in a sign of deficiency? I think this hand was deficiency, right? And so we want to give things based upon where you need support. Phase 4 is detox. Guess what? If you lower the load on your body, if you identify the specific loads and lower that even more, you give your body the support that it needs and you raise your threshold, and then your body says, hey, I'm generating enough energy to do what I need to do. Guess what I'm going to do with all this stuff I've been cramming in these nicks and crannies and fat cells and storing for years upon years? I'm going to detox. It's just natural. So detox is the natural phase, and we're going to talk about nitrates today in a little aspect of that. And then phase 5 is self-awareness. Let me tell you, I had one of the best days that I've had yesterday in a little short time. I was driving down to my parents' house, and for years, I drove by the Meadow River, right after the Golly River. I used to be a whitewater river guide. Can you imagine me in the back of the boat? Forward. And I did whitewater rafting for over 5 years, and I guided the New, the Golly, the Cheat, the Tiger. I had fun, people. And I think that I'm going to go whitewater rafting next week with my boys. That'll be fun. And but anyway, I haven't been for over a year. But when you start, I just lost track of thought. Can you believe that? So, but when you get into self-awareness, I was telling you about driving down and the Meadow River, by the bridge of the Meadow River that drives over on Highway 19, you'll always see all these cars parked right beside there. And I'm just like, I used to know that, people always talk you could walk down to the river and whatever else and go down there, but I never did it. I went through the New River and walked other trails and stuff, but not down the Meadow. So I parked my car on the way down. I walked down this hill. I went and just beautiful trail, just gorgeous trail going down below the Meadow River. Stopped, found a rock, did some stretching, 85 degrees, sat in the sun, stretched, meditated. As I'm walking back, I hear a waterfall. Go down this itty bitty path, find this waterfall, put my upper body into that thing. Oh my God, I woke up. Woo, that was cold. But man, that was just connection. That was that. And during that, that's where I have self-awareness. Through all the craziness and everything that I've been dealing with, it's all good. It's good. God's got me covered. I can tell you guys of craziness. You guys heard about my father passing, and I thank you for your support and in words with that. And then my daughter totaled my car. It was the best thing ever. I got a 2-year newer car with upgrades. Now I got leather seats and everything, and the amount of money that it cost me for the upgrade, more than worth it. And I have the money for it. Over time I do. I just pay for it off of my business. But wow, my daughter, I'm glad. I wish she wrecked my car a few months ago. But weird one. Driving down to pick up my motorcycle, and I hydroplaned at 70 plus miles per hour. Car spinning sideways. Had my son in the car. I was just like, hold on. And, came down into the median going sideways, hit the, as the median has that little V in it, hit the other side, swung it around. Next thing you know, I'm facing southbound right beside the northbound lane, pull off the road, look at the car. Whoa, that was a rush, God's with me. Thank God he's with me. So today I want to go over, and I think you guys are ready to, go into the next phase. Let's talk a little bit about nitrates, and let's see what we have here. Happy Saturday at Independence, Nature Ninja. Hello, Jackie. Good morning and happy Independence Day. Jim, what do you think about the Healy machine? It's a frequency machine. I think the Healy machine, Betty, you can correct me, but we had an attendee at the retreat out in Kashmir, Washington. And was it the healing machine that she actually brought? It's a frequency-based generator. It uses both Rife frequencies and sine wave variations to actually work with both muscular contractions while bringing Rife frequencies in. Um, um, she was out of Texas. I'm blanking on her name right now, and but I think that's a machine. I mean, I think it was a good, very positive effect of what she was doing. A little more than I wanted to spend on another electrical machine right now. I have, I have Rife machines. I have multi-wave oscillators. I have Douglas coils. I have, um, I have zappers. I have um, just all these kind of equipment at my office that I can't see that it would do something that I don't have the capability of doing in my office. But the standpoint of something that's functional, easy to use for somebody at home, yeah, I think, yeah. You don't think so? It was just Rife? Okay, I don't know. I don't remember. I remember, but people who have and swear it, the Healy is. I'd have to look into it. If somebody wants to email me a link about a healing machine, and you want me to actually talk about a healing machine and give you an impression or perception based upon what technology that they're stating that it's using, email me a link to my office at Pittsburgh Alternative Health. Office at PittsburghAlternativeHealth.com is the email address to the office. If you go through the website, you can learn about it. I can give you a perception. Yeah, just give you a perspective on that. So what I want to do today is something that we haven't talked about, and because we've gone through all these phases, is nitrate. So you're gonna see me disappear. 3, 2, 1, poof. And so what you got is the perfect equation, right? And so as we go through here and we look at the perfect equation, the idea behind it is that uh, you know we go through every one of the variables, and as we go through the variables, we learn that, each variable has its own little thing. We talk about bricks representing the potential energy, the pH representing the speed and the magnetism, basically the resistance and the friction or heat generation between anions and cations. We talked about conductivity, basically representing the ability of energy to get where it's needed, but also in the body representing fluid densities, representing the thickness of those body fluids, and both in energy in and energy out, you'll see that conductivity representing how well we're eliminating waste versus how well, or whether we're holding on to waste and heat loss from the body. And then also we talked about cell debris last week, which I didn't have a nice little thumbprint to put up on the screen like you're seeing right now, but cell debris representing the insoluble forms of cellular waste and detox from the body, and then finally we're going to get here to nitrates today. And when we get to the nitrates, the idea behind the nitrates is, they turn around and represent what's called the ureas. And they represent energy being lost from the system in some capacity, but also they give insight. The nitrate nitrogen versus the ammonia nitrogen, which both those are combination representing ureas. They provide insight into the potential. How well are we detoxifying? They give us insight into our potassium and magnesium needs, because as those numbers, when you add them together, are less than 12, you're going to see a potassium deficiency. If you're overweight, if they're less than 14, you're going to see a potassium deficiency. If you're way overweight, and even though you're 15 or 16, you probably are still seeing a potassium deficiency, but also a need for some magnesium. You're going to see the aspects of that nitrate representing protein building capacity, and the ammonia nitrate representing kind of protein breakdown, whether you're breaking down tissues in the body or whether you're not digesting something. So it gives that idea of whether you're not digesting. So when you're looking at protein building capacity with the blue or the nitrates above, you're looking at the pancreatic enzyme and the liver enzyme potential of how well you're digesting foods. So when you are looking at the full set of numbers, never go by just a single set of numbers. and you see that nitrate, that top nitrate is low, and you see that the saliva pH is high, you have poor digestion. You have a liver and a pancreas that is not producing enzymes and not breaking down your food so that you can build healthy cells. Okay, and then finally, the nitrates. Nitrogen is like a nitrate bomb. Think about nitrogen as a bomb. It's powerful. It's explosive. It stimulates the soil and your plants to grow. Let's add some nitrogen to our soil, and let's make our plants grow faster. Or you do too much and you'll fry your plants. And so, how many of you put down fresh chicken poop and burned your plants up? That's too much nitrogen. But that nitrogen gives us these nitrates give us a degree of the electromagnetism of the cells. So sometimes when you start thinking of energy and you see the urine pH honing in and getting near where it's supposed to be, and then those nitrates go high and you start detoxifying, that's a good strong sense of detoxification, that you're actually eliminating, that you're holding on to the frequency that you're supposed to with that urine pH. And typically you'll see that saliva pH slightly go up, and the liver saying, hey, I'm slowing down a little bit here in the strength of what I'm doing because we're dumping some crap, but we're holding on to a nice strong frequency. And that's when you really start trying to detox people a little bit more quickly. So as you look at this chart, that Annie did, which I think is totally awesome, by the way. I hope you guys like this. Everything that I just talked about is there on the left. Nitrates, they represent the aspects of detoxification, elimination potential, potassium, magnesium, pancreatic enzyme. I didn't mention that X-axis on the body. So when you're looking at understanding symptoms and how RBTI can tell you where you're losing energy, right? You look at the nitrates to look at the right versus the left side of the body, and you look at the pHs to understand the top versus the bottom of the body. Where are we most likely seeing problems? And so if you have higher nitrates, you typically see right-sided symptoms or left brain symptoms. So if you have headaches, and your nitrates is higher, your headaches will typically be on the left side. And then if the bottom number is higher, you typically see left-sided symptoms or right-sided brain symptoms. So if you see somebody after a stroke, and you see you see one of those numbers higher, you'll say, oh, that's this side of the body's affected, which is the opposite side of the brain, and you'll almost always see that kind of fare out. These numbers are just amazing. The interesting thing is what are the symptoms? You look at the symptoms that are associated with it, and that's the one thing, Betty, I don't know if you want to comment, but then as I try to teach RBTI, make it practical, I want people to look at the symptom presentation. So as Annie's worked through these slides, and we're going to go over and review all of these in a week, the one thing that I want you to see is that these symptoms are associated with imbalance in that variable on the equation. So as you go back and you see high nitrates, you can see angina, you can see heart attacks, you can see spasms in the muscles from magnesium deficiency. You can see heart palpitations, again, magnesium deficiency, sometimes potassium deficiency as well. Extreme fatigue. If your nitrates are forcing your heart to pound, particularly all night long, you just don't want to get out of bed in the morning. So people who are detoxifying and have high nitrates, they all of a sudden they just are slugs in the morning. They don't want to get out of bed. So you see that that general fatigue, gastrointestinal dysbiosis, particularly when you see those ammonia nitrates, that lower number, as it goes 7 or above, you've probably got an overgrowth of some bacteria or fungal aspects, candida or some type of thing going in your gastrointestinal tract, and you probably need a probiotic. So when we see the ammonia nitrates go high, there's a dysbiosis, edema. So when you see the nitrates go up, what else do you see go up? cell debris and your conductivity. So when you're detoxing, and so as the nitrates go up, the conductivity goes up with it. So what does that control? Your density of fluids, right? And so you start holding water, but also if you learn about nitrates or proteins in the body, water, through osmosis goes where the highest concentration is. So as you're dumping a lot of nitrogen and a lot of protein starts coming out, you'll see protein in your urine if you do a urinary analysis, but you'll also see swelling, edema, kind of correlate with that. Headaches. Usually I see headaches in the back of the head, the cluster headaches. Restlessness. Why? Magnesium issues. Insomnia. Why? Magnesium or potassium issues. Also the need to pee because your density of your fluids go up and you start getting edema. So you have to wake up to pee and these symptoms make sense when you look at them from an RBTI perspective. Betty's chimed in here. Let me make sure I've read what you've noted, Betty. Let me see. Let me know in advance for a Zoom meeting. Heck yeah, let's do it. I don't think, let's see. I know people have had it, swear by it. I can get someone to connect with you on it. Was last week's show recorded? Yes, it was recorded. And splits in the nitrates and ammoniacal nitrogen indicate deficiencies as well. Definitely. You see vitamin A deficiency when you see that, when you see those splits. Betty, if you want to make comments to what, your specifics in regards to the nitrates and splits, that would be wonderful. But we always saw vitamin A deficiencies. There are some association with parasites depending on nitrates. I haven't consistently seen that, and so I don't always report things that I haven't consistently seen, or until I find something that Betty's dad said. Versus there are some things that I call RBTI pearls of information, or RBTI perspectives, with Manthe, June Wiles. June Wiles and the guy who led Healthology, they have a lot of insights reported with the numbers in regards to parasites, and but I haven't seen the consistency with all of those things. High nitrate nitrogen over lower ammonia by 3 digits or more is a vitamin A deficiency. Right there, you got it from Betty Reams Hernandez, people. So low urea symptoms, that's where they were below 12. Potassium deficiency symptoms, what is that? Heart palpitations, that's the main one. Muscle cramping, deep muscle cramping. Again, that restlessness at bedtime, decreased mental acuity. If you have low potassium, your brain doesn't work. You are forgetful, people. Just goes on and happens. Forgetfulness, there it is. Headaches, seizures. You can see, you can predict and see brain tumors with people when you understand the nitrates. If you see most of the equation kind of looking good, you see low sugars and you see nitrates like 1/3 to 1/6. There's very possibly a brain tumor going on. But seizures, you're gonna see that low potassium status, and you're gonna see messed up sugar utilization. Thyroid dysfunction. You will not correct your thyroid if you have a long-term potassium deficiency. So if you are seeing those nitrates between 12 and 14, because a lot of people who have thyroid disorders are overweight. So if those nitrates are below 14, and you need to lose weight and you have forgetfulness and you're forgetting things, then you probably are seeing a thyroid disorder, particularly if you see your pHs, one of those pHs go up between 6.8 to about 7.2, and you'll see that kind of go along as well. And so I don't know if there's any other comments or things that you guys want to ask, but I've gone through. You're looking at the nitrates are affecting the heart contractility, the stress on the heart, the ability to digest food. When you're looking at the top numbers giving you protein balance, those nitrates are giving us an idea of our ability of how we're digesting and breaking things down to build healthy cells. So you want that top number to be somewhere between 10 to 12, and you want that bottom number to be like 5 or 6 in reality. So when you look at healing ranges, Most people refer to the nitrates to be a total where they add up between 15 to 19, which allows you to detoxify. But, I could turn around and show you when my dad was 3/12, on near his deathbed. Well, actually dropped down to 1/12. But if you had 3/12, hey, I'm 15. I'm doing well. Hell no, you're not. You're looking at something that turns around and says, my body is breaking down and destroying itself. Those ammonia nitrates are giving you byproducts of waste and saying that you are not digesting something, or you have physical tissue in your body being destroyed. And that's one of the reasons why I do a urinary analysis with everybody. And again, anybody who's a practitioner should get a UA machine, urinary analysis, where you do dipsticks, let it read it. And we will teach that in level 3. Those machines are not that expensive. They're maybe $150. And then you could turn around and, just gather more information. You'll see as the ammonia nitrates go up, you'll see protein in the urine. You'll see the cell debris go up, and that they're having kidney destruction. So there's just some other aspects that'll go in there. So you're looking again. We mentioned the ability to digest food based upon the top number being high, the bottom number being low. When you see the ammonia nitrates high, you're not digesting something. It's just not happening. So say you have a 6/10. Hey, I'm at 15. Hell, you're trying to break some food down. You're trying to eat some greens. You're trying to eat some vegetables. You're probably seeing your liver pH push up to 6.8 or 6.9, and you're not digesting stuff. And so a lot of people historically, what they do, Betty, they gave digestive enzymes. They'll help you, but that's not what you need to do. You need to purge your liver. You need to purge out your pancreas. You need lemon in your life. And we do that 1 ounce of fresh squeezed lemon to 9 ounces of distilled water at a minimum to make the concentration that Carrie Reams says was the same electrical concentration for pH and stimulation for you to directly stimulate your liver to provide what your liver needs to make digestive enzymes to correct the pH. But I do not, advocate people drinking lemon water all day long without having an idea of what their nitrates are doing. Because bottom line, I left this on. I should have taken this off for you. You can look at me instead. Let me see. Where did I go? I need Annie. Okay, here we go. There we go. Back. And so, those numbers are giving a picture. And so one of the things, I'm getting a text message from my best friend from pharmacy school that I'm going to have on this thing one day. And he says, happy 4th of July. That's for all of you. Ta-da. Anyway, so I want you to understand that when you're looking at numbers, it's a process. You have to learn what the numbers do as you start a program. And don't think like, oh my God, my nitrates are up. I got to take more magnesium, or whatever. There's a process that occurs. So we put those numbers in ranges and understand. And I'm trying at some point to explain the ranges and how, as you start through a process, so when to know to start detoxing people, because now the body chemistry is naturally going through a detox. Remember, we've talked about the aspects of the X factor. Every 20 years, it takes twice as much energy to maintain the same level of ideal, perfect health. That does not mean take twice the amount of supplements, which some people take it as such. Don't do it. Let me see what Betty's saying here. Vitamin A deficiency, lower nitrate nitrogen over higher ammonia by 3 digits or more is a potassium deficiency. Oh, okay, that's good. I just look at total. I always go by total numbers and use that, but that's good to know. I mean, so you could turn around. So Betty's saying that if you have a high nitrate over lower ammonia, by 3 digits or more. I can't say that I agree with that, Betty, because if we have somebody who is 10 to 12 over 5 to 7, there is a 3 or more. That, well, you're saying vitamin A there. Lower nitrate nitrogen over a higher ammonia. Yeah, that makes sense. So if you're, because normally you're not going to see it, you'll see like a 6 over 9. Yeah, I can see that being a potassium deficiency for sure. Yeah, thank you. How do you measure your nitrates? Excellent question. That was the next thing that I was going to go into. You don't want to drink lemon all day long without having the ability to test yourself regularly. Heck yeah, Betty, that's what I'm trying to say. And there's a lot of people on that forum that are just drinking that Michael Ulsta every half hour and trying to push numbers and throwing themselves into nasty detox. And you people just start around the your meals. 1 ounce of lemon, 9 ounces distilled water, so you make 10 ounces a day. Drink a third of that after every meal. I actually take my mineral supplements with that lemon. Why? Dispersion, anionic energy. So helps to stimulate the enzymes, helps to break it down. It really, people, it works. So, but how do you test your nitrates? If you guys go in and watch my video. There's a video on on this YouTube channel. If you go to Doc Misak, you'll see testing your home chemistry, and it talks about that aspects of measuring your nitrates. The problem with measuring nitrates is you have to have what's called a urea testing kit. The urea testing kit involves using caustic reagents. You're using sulfuric acid. I recommend that people wear those nitrile gloves and have some baking soda or some baking soda water already pre-mixed, just in case you screw up and spill a bottle, which you shouldn't spill a bottle because those caustic agents are put in a foam. They have this little foam holder for each one of those bottles. So in reality, for the caustic, sulfuric acid, you're only removing a dropper, from the bottle. I push down to turn the dropper so that so the bottle doesn't move in the foam. And then I always squeeze everything back into the bottle before I put it back in. And when I screw it out to test it, I'll tap that dropper with the sulfuric acid. I'll tap it inside the tip of the bottle so that I don't get any drops, so it's not dropping. And so basically, you have a thing called universal extract solution. And what that does is that separates what's in your urine. You put 1 drop of urine, you put 6 drops of universal extract solution, and then you take an empty dropper, that they're glass droppers, and you put it inside the test tube and you squeeze it. Ching, 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 at least 120 times. The idea is that you're going to do about 2 per second, probably go a little faster than that, but you mix it for at least a minute long. And then what that does is that separates the constituents of what is in the urine. Then you take 1 drop of that, and there's a well. They're called a well plate, WELL. It's this little marble plate that has these little cutouts in it. And so you put 1 drop of that urine and universal extract solution in 2 different wells, right beside one another or right above and below one another, because I think each well has about 12, each plate has about 12 wells on it. And then you take the sulfuric acid solution in 1 of those drops and you put 4 drops. Some people started to teach to put them in a north, west, south, east kind of pattern when you're adding them. So I've covered with that. Dr. Badeau taught that to get a thorough mixing. Other people just say put the 4 drops right in the center. You're still going to stimulate the same chemical reaction. So what I do is I put the 4 drops of the sulfuric acid, carefully put that back in, tighten it, and I have a timer pre-set up. It is idling time. I have to reset up my Zoom meeting. Give me 30 seconds here, people. I apologize. And I hope that just put me right back up. There we go. I'm back. I don't know why that happened. My Zoom meeting said that I only had 40 minutes, so I got to look and see what's going on. But anyway, so we're talking about you do the 4 drops of the sulfuric acid. After you do the 4 drops of the sulfuric acid, you set a timer. I have a timer. I just hit memory and go for 5 minutes. Then you take it's called Nestler's reagent for the ammonia nitrates, and that's the one that makes the yellow color. And then in that other well that I put the drop of urine and universal extract, you put 4 drops of the ammonia nitrate solution. And so that ammonia nitrate solution is about 45 to 60 seconds. So once I get that in there, I look at where my timer is, and then I wait 45 seconds, and then I read it. And what you have is a color chart. And I should have see if I was really prepared, I would have pulled this stuff up and shown you a picture of a color chart. Unfortunately, the color chart that they send with a nitrate testing solution from Pike AgriLabs is just crap anymore. You can't read it. Half of the rings don't show the color. So anybody, when you guys order these stuff through me, yeah, I do make probably $15, $20 off of those kits for you, but I'm going to give you the nitrate color chart that really is a nice color chart that we laminate for you. And I also laminate a urine urea chart, so you can actually how to look at the urea charts. It's Badeau's based upon what Badeau is doing. So just so you're aware. So you always test your values, 1.5 to 2 hours after a meal is the best time. 10 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon were the times that Ream suggested. If you look at diurnal rhythms with when the adrenal glands are active, and they have a peak in the afternoon, it's 10 and 2. So whether Reams picked it because of how our adrenal glands and how our body's producing and stimulating energy at those points of the day based upon natural hormonal reasons, I don't know. He just always said 10 and 2 are the best. Betty, if you want to comment to that, that would be great. But when we're looking at it, after you test these, you read those colors. You get the yellow, you get the blue. Sometimes you have to take the plate and just swirl it a little bit and do it in a circle so you know that they're mixed at the end of that 5 minutes, so you can see the ring that is formed in the blue and the size of it. So the smaller the ring, if it does form a ring, is between a 6 and a 9. If it turns blue, when you start putting those 4 drops of sulfuric acid in, and you immediately see a tint of blue by the time you put that 4th blue, drop in there, then your value is typically going to be a 10 or above on the blue. So there's just some things that we teach when you go to a retreat on how to do that. Bottom line, some of the things that you need to know with that, like I've already mentioned, if that ammonia nitrate is above a 7, you're typically seeing poor dietary breakdown of protein or putrefaction of food in the digestive tract. So you probably need a probiotic. I usually give about 50 billion cells a day. Also, short-term use of digestive enzymes. I mean, when you were looking at, I think it was Sue Aberley, and I know Badeau mentions taking digestive enzymes, and digestive enzymes are not evil, people. I mean, they do help. The problem is why am I not making them? That's the question I want to restore and stimulate. So I would do bitters. I would do bitter herbs. A few drops before you eat, or I would always use the lemon. To help to do that. But using some digestive enzyme, when those ammonia nitrates hit 7 and above, you probably need some digestive enzymes. Are not a bad thing to do. I don't do them often, but I do have them available to people. The other thing is the amazing liver gallbladder flush. If when you're looking at this, we're looking at the ability to detoxify, and so and you'll see that the liver becomes congested. You'll see that pH, the saliva pH, when it goes above 6.8, and then you see that ammonia nitrate not going below 7, you need to flush your liver out. And so it's not mentioned anywhere. The way Reams flushed the liver out is what he would do is he would turn around and oh, am I back on, people? Because I'm looking at the video and I'm hoping that you guys are seeing my current Zoom meeting or not. I can't see that you are. Let me see. Testing with 2 hours. Video feed is frozen. It is. Let me go and see if I can fix that. I'm sorry. Have you guys been able to hear me this whole time? Da, da, da. Let's see. Huh. Why is it not working? Well, people, I don't know without Annie here on how to get this going back up. Let me see what I want to do here. Hold on. Dang, dang, dang. I apologize. We interrupt this show for a current issue. Go. Open up. Yes, we hear you well. We hear your audio, but not your video. I don't know why the video is not going. I could turn around and try to change the ticker. Let me take that off. Ha! There we go. Looks like I'm working now. Okay. Wow, I can't believe I actually did that without Betty, without having Annie here. Wow. Could you? Ching. I'm a little bit of pride there. That's not good. So yes, we hear you well. Marty D, yes. 5 and 5. Oh, you guys, I hope I'm back up with video and everything. So, so some other considerations when you see those nitrates, particularly 14 or less with or 12 or less, start with Al-Ghasem. Al-Ghasem is it's called a bromelade. Many people refer to it as kelp, but it's actually a bromelade, and it's gathered from Norwegian waters, so it doesn't have too much salt in it. Ream showed that it doesn't drive up the conductivity like some kelps will do, but it's rich source of potassium and gives you that iodine because, like I mentioned earlier, if you have low potassium status, Ream showed a connection where the pancreas had to have potassium available to produce what he suggested as thyroxine that was, produced to go to the thyroid, and it was a potassium dependent process. Unfortunately, I can't make that connection from a medical textbook. But I will tell you that if you turn around and you see a low potassium status with people and you don't correct that potassium status, you will not see their thyroid correct. I will tell you that, clinically speaking, Al-Ghasem doesn't always do it. And there are some clients that I am pushing, between 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 potassium pills a day until that potassium status comes up. And then guess what? Their thyroid starts working. So there is a connection that Dr. Reams made, and he suggested it to be there electrochemically, is what he was suggesting. But I have looked through the traditional textbooks on physiology. I've tried to do anywhere to find from a physiological standpoint that the pancreas is actually producing the thyroid for the thyroid organ to combine with potassium and make that triiodo L-thyronine, that T3 that has to have selenium. So that's one of the things, again, you won't learn in RBTI is the need for selenium. So if you see a thyroid disorder, people, you should be taking selenium. I use selenomethionine because it's a sulfur-bearing amino and it's needed on the end of your DNA. Some people don't like it because it smells like rotten eggs. But if you have a thyroid disorder, you should take 200 micrograms of selenium, period. If you do a hair analysis, this is all like level 3 stuff. We're going to teach all this clinical stuff at some point. But if you have a hair analysis done and everyone says, well, hair analysis is worthless in RBTI. Well, I disagree. Betty probably commented at this point after reading her hair analysis that she would disagree too. Because the hair analysis, you had these other practitioners, particularly Paul Eck, and there's a couple others, but Paul Eck was showing that what we put out here gives a representation of mineral balance. And it's really funny because when you look at the recommendations from a hair analysis in these companies, particularly ARL labs, and I use trace elements as well because they don't wash the hair sample, that the minerals that they recommend, if you turn around and look, it's a lot of the times the same thing that we were already giving people based upon their RBTI numbers. And that started like, wow, really? So I originally used to do a hair analysis about every 3 months. And then you see this pattern. They go into a detox pattern with their chemistry, and their hair shows that they're dumping a bunch of heavy metals and crap. And then you see an adrenal insufficiency pattern usually within the first 3 months, because the stress of turning on the chemistry, their adrenal glands start showing it. So sometimes you have to support the adrenal glands, and you can see this stuff in the numbers. You guys, at some point I will make these numbers, make it more sense, but that's what we're trying to do. So yes, we can hear. I don't disagree with you at all. The more the merrier. We need all the help we can get. Yep, thank you. I'm assuming that's regarding enzymes and or potassium or whatever. And so um, the idea here, people, is that we support it. And I was talking about Al-Ghasem, and Al-Ghasem is just a wonderful product. About 7 years ago, it doubled in concentration. If you look at an Al-Ghasem bottle, bet if you have one that's more than 7 years old, you'll see the amount of iodine that was in there was less than 250 micrograms. And now it's over 500. And so daily manufacturing, somehow the iodine content went up where they were getting the raw source. They changed it. Didn't tell me. And if you go back and you look at Manthe and Manthe recommendations, Averly recommendations, because they went through Manthe, Michael Ulster recommendations, Dr. Badeau recommendations, they talk about taking 2 or even 3 Al-Ghasem with every meal. So you do 500 micrograms, that's 1.5 milligrams of iodine 3 times a day. Some people, you cannot handle that. That is going to jumpstart your thyroid. And if you're not detoxing well and you don't understand what these numbers are telling you, and those nitrates are starting to go up, oh my God, your heart's going to race. And you're going to feel like, I got to go to the emergency room. Am I having a heart attack? People, it is not about taking more supplements. It is about learning to eat and what these numbers do. So if you want healthy nitrates, you need fiber, veggies, eat your vegetables. That's going to help with the microbiome and the putrefaction of your food. And, so people who do juicing, that's great. People who do blending, that's wonderful. But don't drink a quart of juice. You'll notice it in your nitrates. Your nitrates will hit up to 14 or higher, and you have to dilute them in order to test them. And I just tell people, okay, you're eating a lot of greens, so you got to watch those vegetable loads, but you need those vegetables. That fiber helps to create the roughage in the digestive tract, so that you create a healthy microbiome, and those nitrate or ammonia nitrates go down. And so in all of this stuff, it comes back to diet. It really does. And the only person, when I was learning RBTI, and I'm like, oh, Betty Reams is doing a retreat out in Kashmir, Washington. I think I should be there. And I went to this retreat, and Betty just talked about food, not a single supplement. I don't know, Betty, you probably mentioned Mincol, maybe Al-Ghasem, maybe some Cal-2. I don't remember you mentioning supplements. You just went about food. This is what we did in the retreats. Huh. Badeau never taught any of this stuff, Her brother was there. He talked about, people would have these high potassium levels, and Dad would make us give them pineapple juice. I'm like, what? Pineapple? How? What? Yeah, pineapple flushes out the salts out of the system. Never read that. So you turn around and people, all of a sudden we're talking about a practical aspect of a lifestyle and how we eat and looking at these numbers. And so what it did is it drastically changed how I was looking at supplements, because I was already giving less supplements than what were recommended in these books. And then I turned, let's learn more about food. And now, like I said, book is done. Annie's working on these thumbprints. And then we're also working on a practical application, because the book is more of explaining this stuff to you, whereas the practical application is what you guys want and need. How do I do this? And that's where, again, Coalition comes together, the computer program comes together. People, we're trying to make this all available to you, and it's just a matter of time. And if you have heard the things that I mentioned that have been going on in my life lately, it's in a tailspin lately. And as it slows down, I'm going to bring my focus back, because that meditation time that I had on that river and sitting there and stretching and getting that sun, I hope you can see a little bit of redness on my getting it out there yesterday. Um, People, it's all there and it's all good. And I know it's all coming together, and you guys are going to be blown away. And we can change the world, and we can do it together. And I just see all that happening. You guys see that vitalometry at the side, and those of you who have tried vitalometry, and we're giving you discount codes to try it. It is just going to be the financial impetus to keep making this stuff happen and bringing it to the forefront. And again, under the aspects of a private group, and we will all be private. And so when you go to that docmisak.com, you'll see the private group there, the coalition. You can't quite join it. It looks like you can, but financially we haven't got everything set up to where it's tracking and categorizing. The problem is if you join the content, we're trying to take content like what you're seeing here and then make it the coalition so it's free to everybody. And so it's just a huge undertaking, people. It really is. And so, but it's working in the right direction. So let's go and see what we have to say. Betty's going. That's regarding hair analysis too, and anything else of value. Any people, these tests, like Betty, you're going to be blown away when you see organic acid test. Haven't we talked about it yet? We will. These tests we're looking at things from an analytical perspective, and the beauty is that when the RBTI numbers aren't changing, you got to figure out the why. So that's where these other tests can help. Hair analysis tells you some of the trace minerals. Most of my clients take selenium. Most of my clients take zinc. Many of my clients take manganese. Sometimes I'm giving copper. Sometimes I'm giving, I like lithium, trace amount of lithium for people. Really helps with the nerves, really helps with depression aspects, really helps with alcoholics and people who, have habits towards bad things. It really protects the brain, people who have brain issues. Trace 5 milligrams of lithium orotate a day. Beautiful thing. Trace minerals, unfortunately, you don't learn about them very often in RBTI. There's some aspect because Dr. Ream says you correct the calcium and the others will correct. And but people, when you see and understand there's deficiency sign and the numbers are pointing that way, giving that trace mineral just makes that aspect of healing happen a little bit quicker. And that hair analysis tells us the long-term perspective, because I do it about every 9 to 12 months now, gives us that long-term perspective is, are those trace minerals coming up to what's considered a healthy norm? And so that's why I give trace minerals, people. So let me see here. Q plus 2020, mold in the workplace, homes, moldy grain being fed to animals that we eat and grains that we eat. Yep, if you go and you look at my restoration model and I talk about total stress, mycotoxins are huge, people, in your food, in your coffee, in your air. If you're in moldy buildings and you smell it, people, you're getting toxed. You're getting detoxification, or you're getting toxic to where you need a detox. Betty, foods first, supplements to support the food until the body is strong enough to do it by itself. Yes, I actually, Betty, would say that we need some supportive supplementation even longer than that, but not a lot. You do not need to take, 6 Mincol, 6 Cal-gluconate, 6 Cal-2s. You don't need to take that crap for a long time. But taking, I take 1 Mincol and 2 Cal-2 a day. If I don't, I crash. I have to take some vitamin D, or my numbers will crash, things will speed up. I get it in my gastrointestinal tract. You got to take a maintenance, because our foods just don't have enough unless you're growing high bricks. Although my garden's looking pretty darn good right now, except for my tomatoes. They got started too late, but they're starting to catch up. I'm just gonna have a late tomato season. Still ride a boogie board? Heck yeah, I ride a boogie board. And I got a neighbor who just got a boat, and who his child and my younger son are best friends. And so I had this slalom ski that I bought. I can't wait to get up and do some slalom skiing again. Let's see. Betty's classes are a blessing. Heck yeah, Betty is a blessing. Thank you, Jackie. I'll teach you things. Excellent. Thank you, Betty. Ran out of vitalometry for 3 days and ears started ringing. Yeah, it's going to support that aspect. I don't sit here and want to promote vitalometry for RBTI, but those of you who measure your numbers, and if you try taking about 4 vitalometry a day and watch your numbers, I do see a general enhancement because it's just supporting your system. I love the product, people. If you use Doc Misak, you get that 15% off, and that supports Annie for helping us too. Um, I'm taking a urine organic acid test and my mycotox test, or mycofix, a mold test. Hopefully, it will give me some good information. Yeah, it will. Once you have that information, it's how you use it. If you have those mycotoxins and stuff, you have to bind them up. It's difficult. I have a client that I now, even after supporting her for some mold things, repeated her mycotoxin test and her mycotoxins went higher. And I'm like, holy crap. So what it is mold does not want to die in the body. And as you try to kill it as a last ditch effort to survival of a species, it'll make more mycotoxins. And I am going to be consulting with some other practitioners to give me some ideas of how we can deal with that and just get it out of this lady because just rare cancer and I know it's directly correlated. Just know it's directly correlated. So I am going to tune out, people. It's 11 o'clock. It's a beautiful day. You guys have places to be. You have fun to have. I have fun that I want to have. I'm going to go see my sister. And next week, hopefully I'll talk with Annie, and we'll try to sum it all up. We'll share each one of those thumbnails if we've got them done and we agree on them. There'll be the same thumbnails that you're going to be in the book, people. You're seeing stuff that people are seeing beforehand, and we are getting this close to getting all this stuff done. It just keeps taking longer than we expect, and we keep having all this stuff thrown in life that sidetracks us, but life is good. Make it stay that way. Find yourself, find your happiness, stay with that happiness. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. Assuming it's not the day I go whitewater rafting. If I'm off next week, forgive me. I'll see you the week later. God bless you all, and